what's happening on eBay is that there are some who are now putting up posts that look exactly like everybody else's. However, instead of charging like $300 to $400, they're charging like $50. Basically hurts the people that are spending way too much money or putting bots in place to buy up product. $6,100. It's a Abraham Lincoln cut auto jumbo seal patch.
Actually had a full-size seal from that document that we trapped into that card.
What's up, everybody? It is your boy, Sports Boy, aka Jesse Gibson, on the latest episode of Hobby Nonsense. Thank you for tuning in, and this is going to be a fun episode, I think, because there's a little bit of everything, not only historical and vintage, but we've got a lot more modern updates, news things going on. So I'm going to hit a few of these things. I also am proud to say there's going to be a little bit of a giveaway going on, and thanks to our sponsor, Courtyard. Courtyard.io, if you guys are not familiar with them, I'll tell you more about them eventually, but they are the first sponsor of the Hobby Nonsense podcast. Being able to do this podcast as not like my primary source of income, just as something more fun, I've been able to pick and choose and take some time. And so the fact that Courtyard is one of the companies I've known for so long, I'm very proud to say that they agreed to work together with Hobby Nonsense. So let me get into a few other things going on, but I'll tell you more about how you can take advantage of the giveaway here shortly. Before we get to our interview, that is going to be with Super Break Products. We got one of the co-founders. His name is Adam Joosten. Then we've got Raymond Leon, their head of marketing over there. They're going to join us just to talk about Super Break Products, because I don't think a lot of people are that familiar with Super Break Products. At least I wasn't. But they are the guys behind Pieces of the Past, bar cards, Keepsake. They've got so many different like relic cards, whether it's like historical figures, dinosaur fossil cards. They've got the Bruce Lee collection that came out last year. They've got another version of that coming up. They're doing like Rambo, Steve McQueen as well coming up. They also hinted at some other things that I'm not allowed to talk about that sound even bigger and better than what they've already got that's already released. So they're going to talk about how they kind of started as a repack company and created their own card making company. I think is something that is resonating with a lot of people since we see so many repack. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Flaming Hot Cheeto. I'm bringing this up because I don't want it to be, someone called me out on Instagram, or maybe it was YouTube, for talking up the Flaming Hot Air Jordan Cheeto auction. And I just want to say, I'm not talking it up, but it's something so, when I say spectacular, maybe that's not the right word, amazing, just out of, it blows the mind. That is what it really resonates with me, at least. It's blowing my mind that someone paid $8,113 for the Air Jordan Cheeto. Now, granted, that is, about $80,000 or so less than what the Charizard Cheeto sold for. So, you know, we're getting better. We're getting our head on straight, maybe just a little bit better. As someone who appreciates eating Cheetos and does not appreciate spending money on Cheetos that look like things, I am not a fan of this, but it is just so remarkable that I feel like the world needs to know $8,113 was spent on that Cheeto. So we're all familiar with Pokemon. You guys have heard of that, right? That's a product. It's also a card collection. It's a media company. They do all kinds of things. Pokemon is so overpriced to some. Some would say it's rightly priced. I think that's incorrect. But the prices are so high at this moment that most are complaining how they can't get in. I've talked about it several times on past podcasts. There's something interesting going on because of that. I got an email over the weekend from someone reaching out to let me know, hey, have you seen what's going on eBay? I did get someone send me a picture. They sent a picture of the most recent release. It's a pre-release of the next card set coming out from Pokemon, Destined Rivals. They're already selling on eBay for, your guarantee that you'll get the first box that comes in when they get delivered. They're selling for like $300 to $400. Out of this world, I know that, for one ETB. So, but what's happening on eBay is that there are some who are now putting up posts that look exactly like everybody else's. However, instead of charging like $300 to $400, they're charging like $50, which you would expect a lot of ETBs to have normally cost up until the last few months. What it looks like they are doing is kind of twofold to me. One, all of these posts, whether they're the ones that are selling for $300 to $400, whether they're the ones that are selling for $50, they all say, read the description. Well, in a lot of cases, the ones that are more expensive, the read the description is just telling you like, hey, this hasn't come out yet. It's a pre-sale. As soon as you get it, or as soon as I get it, I'll send it to you. That's what that description's saying. Now, because they are wording it as, hey, you have to read the description to know what you're getting, others are taking advantage of this, and they're putting in the description, hey, if you're a bot, or if you're not a bot, I should say, don't buy this. If you're a real human being, don't buy this. This is for a picture of the ETB, and we're just trying to basically hurt the people that are spending way too much money or putting bots in place to buy up product. But in actuality, I think what they're doing is they're trying to get lower comps in there to throw off some of the sales as well, so it helps to maybe lower some of the pricing. This is like a Robin Hood situation. I mean, it's a Robin Hood situation in the sense that they are taking a product that is very overpriced and trying to do their best to, I guess, put it into the minds and algorithms that, hey, this is actually selling for less, so maybe we should sell ours for less, so that people who actually do have the product will maybe list it for less than what they could have gotten, and therefore more people could get their hands on it. I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted, right? Because there is a real sense of, hey, that's not the worst thing. Like you're doing something to get product into other people's hands that, you know, maybe aren't able to afford this, but at the same time, it's dishonest, right? It's dishonest, and you're scamming the system. I've seen eBay already taking some of these down. You're probably, for those who are asking, hey, how is eBay allowing this to be up? They're not. They're taking them down. However, it does look like, because they're basically the exact same post, they look identical except for pricing differences. I don't know if they just have to have like a human being go through one by one, and there's so many of them. There's so many of them for different products, and I assume that they'll continue to probably remove some of these. In the meantime, I just looked. It's Monday afternoon. There's still many of them up, and many of them have already been sold. I am curious to see how this actually ends up affecting things, if there's actually any dent, if anybody who actually gets the product sells it for less than what the others have been selling theirs for. 372 was a real one. 275, that was another real one. 375, that was a real one. But then you have all these other ones that are like $64.99, $60, $50. So it's like there's nothing exactly the same about them. So I don't think like eBay could just put out something that shows, oh, well, just go after these, take down these that have this pricing or whatever the case. Keep your eyes peeled. How many people are going to be taken advantage of because of this? And it's not on purpose, maybe. Maybe it's not on purpose. I can't say. I don't know the intentions of the people who are doing this, but you got to think, well, they're still getting paid for it. Like, these people are still making money who are putting these up, and they're saying it's just to, you know, stick it to the bots and the people using the bots. But at the same time, how many kids are going to go out and buy this? How many like parents who didn't fully read, they were cooking dinner and doing 20 other things and didn't fully read the description and ended up paying for just a picture? You know, I don't know. I hope in those cases eBay does do something to hopefully refund if that's within their regulations. So I wanted to at least give you guys a warning, so you know, if you're going out to eBay to buy anything, read your descriptions. Topps Now has released what may be one of the more popular non-sport cards in recent memory. And I say that because the figure on one of them, it's a whole set. The figure on one of them is the most popular young adult in recent memory. And I am talking about MrBeast has been featured on his first trading card. And this is because Topps Now has, I guess, partnered with the Sidemen. The Sidemen are a group of YouTubers that put out content. They're based out of the UK. KSI is one of these guys. There's a few other names you may or may not recognize. I'm not as familiar with any of them other than KSI, and I know what they look like because I've seen their content, but I hate to say that KSI is the only one I've actually heard of. But other than that, they played, the Sidemen played a charity soccer match, and some of the other members on the opposing team were Kai Cenat, MrBeast, Sketch, a few others. They are featured on their cards as well. Some of them have autos, some don't. Unfortunately, MrBeast does not have an auto in it, but I can only imagine how many people are going to buy that card. And I will fully admit to you, I spent too much money buying some of these Topps Now cards, knowing full well that they will be produced into oblivion. But once the sale ends, it ends. There's not going to be any more made of that card, and it will be his first. And he is literally one of the most popular young adults in the world. Like, not just America, but across the world. He's got YouTube channels in almost every country right now. I just think that if you're going to get a card, why not get one of someone who's super popular? They sell for like $9 unless you start buying in bulk. Then I guess they get a little bit cheaper. The idea here is, I guess, buy it if you want it. Don't buy it if you don't. Don't hate on me for buying them. I did because I wanted one, at least one or two, because I know a few young kids, my daughter included, who wouldn't mind one. But I also thought, well, who knows? Maybe these things get really valuable in the future. I would not be shocked to hear that this gets printed over 200,000. I do know at this point I haven't seen that much media attention about it. So I'm wondering if there's that many people who know about it, especially since it wasn't like just, hey, it's the MrBeast Topps Now card, but it was the Sidemen charity match that Topps Now sponsored. So we'll see. The good thing I think associated with this is that some of the proceeds from these card sales do go to the charities that the Sidemen were raising money for. So it made me feel less icky, less dirty for knowing that, for knowing that some of that money was going to be put towards good use. So take that into consideration if you're wanting to buy some. Maybe that pushes you over the edge. I don't know. A lot of us, especially those who are into non-sports, we find that there's not as many resources for us to get information about some of the cards that we want. I found one, and maybe everyone knows about this, and I just found out about it. I know I've been to this site before, but I didn't really realize just how much detail they have. There's a website. It's just called non-sport.com. Non-sport.com. I believe it's been around for quite some time. They have so many sets of non-sport cards. It's kind of hard to, there's no chance I could ever talk about all of them, but almost anything I could think of was in here. Now, there's not TCGs, but again, many people differentiate TCG from non-sport, and well, they should. But non-sport cards, any set over the past, literally it starts at 1800. So the past 200 years, you could probably find some information on this website. But not only information, there's pictures to go along with them. So if you wanted to see some of the pictures, if not the exact picture, at least some of the pictures in the set, so you have a general idea, that is included there too. It's not a sponsor, not anything associated. I don't know anybody who runs the site or anything like that. I just thought to myself, hey, this is a good resource. I need it for myself. For sometimes I'm looking to maybe do a break and I need to know what the cards are in there, and there's not a lot of detail anywhere else. It doesn't seem to matter if it's, a Topps, a Rittenhouse, or some other unknown company from years and years ago. It seems to have hundreds and hundreds of sets in there. So there's probably other resources. I saw this one. I wanted to let you guys know. Sponsorship that I'm doing with Courtyard, and I'm just mentioning this now because I am going to do this each episode. I'm just going to kind of remind you guys, but I'm going to tell you now. I'm spending a little bit more time on it now because the reason why I wanted to work with Courtyard was back in 2022, I want to say. I had met with them at the first mint. I think it was 2022. If it was 2023, I apologize. Whenever the first mint was, I met them, and they had a whole system set up where if like you gave them your card, they would scan it into their system front and back. They would basically create like a digital representation of it, and then you could buy or you could sell it or trade it with other people. And that was kind of their go-to model, I think. I ended up doing that with an Al Borland from Home Improvement, an Al Borland signed card. That was the only card I ended up uploading to them, but they basically turn it into this blockchain card so that no one else can have it. You can't just copy and paste it or anything like that. So it had a level of security, and I thought it was a really cool idea. I've heard about them throughout the last few years, but I've never, I'm blame on myself, I've never really paid much attention to them. I've been seeing in the past few months that they've been doing more of like a vending machine style product with a marketplace. And that's where I started getting interested. And it reminds me so much of like when I was a kid and I would go to the store and I'd put in like a couple quarters into like the sticker and or card machine where you'd like push it in and then you'd try as hard as you could to pull it back out, and it'd be a couple pieces of cardboard with like a card in the middle of it. I don't know about you guys. I always had problems like pulling that thing back out. Like it would always get stuck. I don't want to get started on it. It was very traumatizing at times because I was like, I just put in my last 50 cents and I couldn't get that card out. Then I'd get someone to come over, and obviously I was the strongest, so no one else could do it. So they just got stuck in there, and no one ever got the card. Guess what? We don't have to worry about that anymore because now the vending machines are digital, and we are able to get them right away. So what this is you go to their website, courtyard.io. There's a marketplace where you can buy and sell cards. There is the ability to upload, or to not upload, but to send them your cards to Vault. Once you send them to them, you can trade them, sell them. The ease of use, everything seems very intuitive. So when you go to the website, I want to go to the vending machine section to get Pokemon sports cards. They have like football, basketball, baseball, individual vending machines for those. You can do it for different tiers. They show you once you go to that vending machine, if you want to get something that is a card where you have a chance of hitting something really big, like say $200 to $400 for a $25 purchase. Okay, well, you can go to that vending machine. You can go to the higher price ones. There's some that cost as much as, I think it's $500. But if you go to one that costs the platinum pack, that's $500, you have a chance of pulling cards, like some of their heavy hitters is what they call them, up to $4,000. It depends on whatever you want. It's very similar to like a repack in that sense, where you're purchasing something, you're not exactly sure what you're going to get, but you're going to get one card. It will be graded, and it will be whatever sport and or Pokemon that you would want it to be. The odds are displayed, so you know exactly like what are the odds of me pulling something out. And one of the benefits to everyone listening, is you use the code HOBBY, or you use the link that's on the Hobby Nonsense Instagram page, and I'm also displaying it on the the Sports Boy account on Instagram. There's a link. You can click that as well. But if you use the promo code HOBBY, you are going to get your first pack, whether that's a $25 or a $50 pack. You can choose either one for free. So basically, essentially, you spend $25 on a pack. There's a guarantee that they will buy back whatever card you get from that vending machine for what you put in or more. Now, I tried this myself, and I'll say the first one, I think I got like a $5 or $6 card when I spent $25. So I used the $25 buyback. They gave me exactly what I put in, and I could easily just deposit it back into my account or just leave it there for future purchases, whatever you want to do. So no harm, no foul. First time, easy use. I did it again today. I have another account that I was like, well, I need to see what this is like first time. So I tried to do a $50 one using the promo code HOBBY. On my other account for the first purchase, it worked. And so I got a card, and it was like $115. I will say I've not seen any of these where it's like someone's very first time ever using it, and they got they spent $25 and they got the $300 card out of the machine or something like that. I haven't seen any of those. From what I was told after talking to them, there's no like kind of way that they can dictate who gets what. So whether they're marketing or anything like that, you can't just like say who's getting what. As you can see, I'm kind of like fanboying out about this. It's not just because they're a sponsor of the show, but I think it's a really cool concept that they're showing pictures of all the heavy hitters, all the big cards that you can get. They're showing odds of those cards. They're showing that you get buyback guarantees on your first one. But then after that, you also get a option for a 90% buyback on every card after. So it's not just you're getting that one time. Like the very first one is free. That's great. Like they're offering, you will not lose money on this because we're going to give you at least what you put into it, if not more. But all subsequent ones after that, you will always get 90% or more as a immediate buyback option. I think that's so cool. I think that's like very limited risk. And then say you just want to buy and sell cards on the platform. Great. You want to trade them with somebody else. You want to buy and sell someone who has cards on the platform and you do too. Say you just wanted to trade with a buddy of yours who had another card. You can just send them the card for free. They don't charge you. There's not like all these nickel and diming on the site either. I got to get into this interview because I thought you guys would appreciate it. After talking to these guys, I think you guys really will, just knowing what all historical cards they've got. But it's a modern take on historical cards and vintage cards. So I think it's like two worlds colliding. Again, I talked about this last episode where guys who like vintage don't always like modern stuff, and guys who like modern stuff don't always like vintage. This is kind of like a meeting of worlds where we can please everyone at once, hopefully. I don't know. We'll see what you guys think after you hear it. But here's our interview with the Super Break Products guys. This is Adam, Joosten, and Raymond Leon. Now, Adam, you are a co-founder of Super Break. Raymond, you're like the marketing lead. I appreciate you guys coming on. Can you tell the audience a little bit about like what do you guys do? What do you guys make? Because there's going to be some names I know a lot of people have heard of. They may just not be as familiar with the name Super Break.
Yeah, absolutely. So our company is actually Super Products Inc. And so we've been around for 10 to 15 years in the hobby at this moment. And so we actually started with the name Super Break because we were making different repack products for a variety of different breakers and e-tailers and things like that. This is 10 plus years ago. And with that, we actually had then started a product concept called the bar. And that's been out now for almost 7 to 8 years as well, which I know you're familiar with too, to where we created these gorgeous 5x7, 8x10 cards that have original artwork and signatures in them of historical subjects, musicians, actors, celebrities, entertainers, kind of the whole 9 yards. From that, then we evolved into our Piece of the Past line, which is we're going on our 9th year now, which is pretty exciting, of all of our historical cards that we create. So getting cards of presidents and a bunch of different kind of fun things like that. And then we kind of morphed a few years back into more of the licensing space. And so we have a brand called Keepsake. And that is sort of our licensing arm, so to speak, right? So we released sets recently this last year with the Bruce Lee estate. We have an upcoming set with the Rambo franchise. We have Steve McQueen, and we have a variety of other kind of product concepts that we're working on in, music, entertainment, IP as well. And so that's kind of in a nutshell of what our company is and our product lines. We actually have a couple other ones, but not to kind of put everything over everybody's head.
No, I appreciate it. The three main ones is a good place to start. And what I like that you're telling me, I don't know if I've really heard this because so many guys are out there doing these repack breaks and stuff. And you guys kind of jumped the shark from starting as repackers to now you actually have officially licensed products that you're making. I find that very interesting. How was that like going from, hey, we're just going to buy cards that were made by other people to, hey, let's just make our own card?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting story. I'm actually looking at one of the first ever cards that we did with the signing. It was actually in a part of some of our repacks. This is 2014, 15, 16, 17. We started working with some different prospects in baseball. And actually, a blast from the past name, the individual I'm looking at is hilarious. Our first signing was with Miguel Sano. There's kind of a joke in some of the older breakers out there because they were hitting his cards left and right in our different products. And so we actually did a variety of different prospects, and we saw that there was value in it. in people kind of enjoying, licensed cards. And of course, those weren't officially licensed because they were just with specific players. But then we started kind of progressing from that. We worked with different, larger athletes at one point, right? Then we started doing Stephen Curry and Giannis and Lionel Messi and Pele and Erling Haaland and a bunch of people like that a few years back. And then we saw that, hey, well, there's still a market for other things, and we have an appetite to do more. And so we said, hey, well, let's get into the officially licensed game, whether that's music, whether that's entertainment, whether that's pop culture. And those are kind of the spaces that we're now in, which is pretty exciting.
I think it is really cool to know that these companies that are out there right now have like this opportunity that, I mean, if you guys can do it, obviously it must be something that's replicatable, but the fact that you guys are kind of first to market with it, or one of the earlier ones to market with some of these ideas, I think definitely gives you guys a leg up, because I mean, we're talking about like pieces of the past, for instance. These are, in a lot of cases, they're historical documents, sometimes like signatures of past presidents. In other cases, we're talking about pieces of hair follicles. This cannot be easy stuff to come by. How do you guys source some of these items for these cards?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is that we work with a variety of different auction houses on our different product lines. But I think actually one of the more exciting things that we've done on the Piece of the Past side of late is we actually started working with, his name is Eric C. Karen of the Karen Archives. And he has amassed probably one of the largest and most incredible collections of historical items known to man. And so we actually just put out a product just this last couple weeks ago called Freedom Fighters, 1776 Piece of the Past, and just absolutely gorgeous wooden box. You open up the box and it has all the items displayed within that set. But within it, from him, we were able to procure basically a few different items, cannonballs, different kind of Red War items, original just manuscripts and books with original words from the Declaration of Independence printed in that time period, along with a George Washington piece of his actual inauguration podium, a piece of wood that John Adams personally chopped, just like remarkable items that you just would never think about. And so that's a set that we just put out. And so like it's things like that we have to do. To be able to find different items that are just not possible to find. And so it really creates a kind of a fun challenge and chase for us.
I got to go back to the cannonball. You guys have a can. What are you doing with a cannonball? Because how do you put that into a card?
It is so difficult. First, let me tell you that. To cut up a cannonball is not easy in the slightest. As well, right? So it takes a lot of different machines and machinery to actually be able to cut a cannonball down to small little 1x1 chunks. But we've figured out how to do it, and it's quite fun. But to that point, though, to what you just said, in that set and other sets, we actually also do redemptions for full-size items too. So, for instance, you might actually be able to get a redemption in that set, just throwing an idea out there, for a actual cannonball, right? So we'll then mail you the actual cannonball that was used in Blink. So there's certain items that we do cut up, which people kind of think that we're crazy. And then there is items as well that we don't, and we preserve them, and then we actually send customers those full items as well.
And one of the cool things about that set is that we're able to help salvage some of these relics that weren't otherwise salvageable, right? And that's what's really cool about the Eric C. Karen Foundation. Shout out to them, because some of these items should have gone in museums and would have been worth like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so basically we're able to repurpose those and put them into the hands of collectors, and that's really what we're aiming for.
Yeah, and to clarify on Raymond's point as well, all the cards for that item in that set were from already original items that were already somewhat like compromised or broken fragments of it as well, right? So Eric does have those items that are, museum quality items, and these were from pieces of different items that were already somewhat, not using the word just destroyed, but they were fragments of that, right? So that at least it was items that were that you wouldn't just go, wow, why isn't that at the Smithsonian, right? Type of thing as well. So there were kind of different pieces of different things as well, which worked just marvelously perfect for it.
We're not Indiana Jones here.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to point that out too, because I remember when I talked to Raymond last week, he did make a point that the podium that you guys are using in your Freedom Fighter set, that card, the piece of that was from something that they weren't going to be able to actually use I guess, in a piece that would be, say, museum quality. So it's not like you're just taking, pieces of the Declaration of Independence, cutting it into squares and putting it into cards. These are things that, yes, they have significant historical value, but they're not necessarily like you'd go to a museum and want to check out because of how their condition is. But I do want to talk about some of these that have like dinosaur bones and things like that too. I got to think like that is something that is not cheap to acquire, but maybe I'm completely wrong. Are fossils something that are affordable to get your hands on?
So it's interesting. I think that, a lot of items are readily available, right? And I think there's also types of things that you can purchase in bulk, right? Whether it's, prehistoric or older items, whether it's teeth or different type of pieces like that. We're not, again, using items that are, museum quality type of pieces as well, right? So whether it's kind of fossils or whether it's arrowheads or other type of items that we do use, ancient coins, again, these are items that are readily available. But again, certain items, to your point, yeah, you're not going to be able to get, a legit, a piece of, an item from the skull of a T-Rex, right? That's going to be in a museum, so to speak, right? But there's other types of items that are available, right? And I think that just kind of goes to, the transparency of some of the cards we have. On the back will say, hey, here's the types of items that are used, or this is what was in that specific card, so that people can kind of see like, okay, great, well, I can have something similar, for what this is. And I think that also goes to the scale of our different products and our evolution, right? That we have our lower end products that might be a piece of the past line that has certain type of relic items. We have other items that have more upscale items as well too, right? So people are always kind of wondering, well, where is items that you use in it? Is it all, written from the subject, or is there other time period pieces? There's all of it, right? Because it depends on the product and it depends on the price point of the product. We release sets that have all original handwriting from different subjects, and we release some that are more so, hey, if you want a card with, Ludwig van Beethoven on it, well, you're probably not going to get everything directly from him that he personally wrote, or signatures. Those are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But we're still really cool, manuscripts and original scrolls that can be used that can at least kind of have the essence of the era that he was from, right? So that we kind of have a give and take between the two.
Before we move off of pieces of the past, I do want to know, has there been any high dollar sales of any of these cards in this specific set anytime recently?
There's a ton of cards that sell on the secondary market, I would say, that customers list on eBay or other variety of different auction houses. I think one of the ones that we actually were pointed to recent was a Abraham Lincoln cut autograph that was listed. What's interestingly enough, I would say too, is sometimes I kind of chuckle at the prices where they do sell for a lot, but then I also know what we actually pay for specific items and documents, and I go, wow, somebody might have gotten a pretty good deal on something, even if it goes for $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. The price of an Abraham Lincoln signature is about the same as well.
Yeah, this one, it looks like on March 24th, they went for $6,100. It's a Abraham Lincoln. It says cut auto jumbo seal patch.
Yep.
So would this have been a redemption then?
That would have been, yeah. Those would have been redemptions because of the size, the 5x7 size. And that particular card, if I remember it correctly, actually had a full-size seal from that document that we trapped into that card, which was really, really cool. I think it might have been the only Abraham Lincoln that we've created from kind of our high-end bar 5x7 line, give or take, that had an actual, call it a patch with an Abraham Lincoln signature. So I always like to call that one like our first ever, rookie patch autograph type of thing, or a presidential patch autograph on it, because it had the seal in it, which was kind of neat. Yeah, so the bar is in an original cut signature set to where we kind of use original artwork with the cards. The cards typically also will have potentially precious metals in them, so there could be original silver bars or gold bars or cards that have different diamonds and gemstones entrapped in them. And then typically the cards could be slabbed or unslabbed. Oftentimes we end up grading them with Beckett, as you might see on that one, or other cards that we've released. We actually released a 2023 set this past year, and that one had a variety of different slab bars, which is incredible, single, dual, triple combinations. And we've done some amazing pieces, of Washington and, Lincoln and Benjamin Franklin, just some larger than life kind of historical subjects in the past. That we find that collectors really enjoy it, and they enjoy the, funny enough, some of the 5x7 cards because they actually can display them better. Some people are actually proud to display them, as opposed to kind of all the card people who like kind of smaller things to put in a shoebox or things like that as well. So we've seen that people have actually enjoyed collecting them because they can show them off to people and put them in somebody's hand.
I did see that one of the ones for, it's 2017, the bar Pieces of the Past. It was a one of one for Barack Obama with a, it looks like a silver bar in there, sold for $12.50 just a couple days ago, which I would think like something like that has to be valued not only for the historical significance or whatever person it is, whether it's historical or entertainment or whatever the case, but also the fact that they do have precious metals in there that have value to them. I'm curious, and you don't have to name what card it would be, but do you have like an idea for what the most expensive card that you guys have ever actually produced is?
That is a good question. I think there has been some with just the signature value alone in historical cards when you combine signatures of, without naming specific cards, but you know, Washington and Lincoln and Jefferson and all these people into one kind of card. The signatures alone cost upwards of, you know, $20, $30 plus $1,000 just to acquire the autographs for those specific cards, right? So there legitimately is cards out there that are worth, you know, tens of thousands of dollars that we've created.
Wow. I had no idea that there were some autos, just the cut auto alone, that had that kind of value. All right. So the bar pieces are really cool. The Pieces of the Past I like a lot. The Keepsake is something, is that more like a modern version? You said that's the licensed cards that you're doing?
Yeah, so within our Keepsake line, we have a few different product lines. We have our kind of our hobby products, right, which is kind of more of your base sets or your more kind of shiny foil sets. We call it kaleidoscope, which is our terminology for kind of like refractor and chrome and whatever people might call in that. And then we have our higher end set, which is our Keepsake Premier set. We actually put that one out in it's a light activated box when you open it up, and it kind of gives a nice presentation. We have a couple of those actually coming up in the next couple months. We have a Bruce Lee release, we have a Steve McQueen release, and we have a release for the Rambo franchise as well, which is sort of neat. We actually have a few of the Bruce Lee cards to show you, which is kind of fun for the upcoming set as well, which I think look pretty cool.
So we put these aside to show you guys on the podcast, and we're really proud of them. We got some really awesome silhouetting that we've done with the patches. Some of the absolute best pictures too, all licensed by the Bruce Lee company. And
this is kind of looking at some of the rainbow right here of some of the one-of-ones that we're actually in the pre-pack out process right now, which is super cool. And then here is some of the items as well. These ones actually, to the one that Raymond was showing, was actually a book owned by Bruce Lee. This is from an original Institute certificate of Bruce Lee's. All these ones from these sets show the items on the back, right, that you'll actually receive within those cards, which is really kind of fun and unique, along with other kind of really unique, memorabilia items that are entrapped in those cards. So that set's actually coming out in about another 45 days or so, which people are super excited about. We put out the first set with Bruce Lee about this time last year, and within this set there is original pieces of fight-worn masks. There is handwritten letters from him, which are phenomenal pieces. We have, his actual jump rope that he used, and a variety of other pieces, which is just it's so awesome being able to work with different estates and see different items that, honestly blow my mind. And I'm like, wow, I'm actually holding, Steve McQueen's, racing medal, or, a prop gun from this movie, or an item from Bruce Lee, or
Lee's
whatever it is, just really cool items.
I am so interested to know like what guys think about this, because I think it's amazing to see like the jacket. There's one that actually just sold, I guess, a couple of months ago. It was from the last year Bruce Lee release, and it was just a one-of-one jacket patch. But the patch looks so cool. Like the jacket itself must have been amazing. But to see those like in these cards with like a cool framed border, I don't know. I think this stuff is really awesome. And I know there's a lot of guys who they love non-sport cards, and a lot of them view it as, well, if it's not, 20, 30 years old, then they don't give as much credence to anything that's come out, 2000 and after. But I would like to beg that there's a big audience that would still not only be into vintage, but definitely into what you guys are putting out, because it's got that vintage vibe. And of course, it's most of the materials in them are very, very vintage. I was actually, as I was looking at that Bruce Lee card, I just scrolled down a little bit and I just saw, there's some Benjamin Franklin relics in here. There's Bonnie, Anne Bonnie and Captain Blackbeard, dual relic pieces of the past cards. Like, I don't know. All this stuff is just so cool. And I don't think a lot of people appreciate or really understand that these are cards that they could add to their collection.
One of my big emphases here is to actually go and talk to the collectors. I've been going to a lot of shows lately, getting feedback, hearing about what people like, trying to get our cards into the hands of the collectors. That's pretty much our goal. When I got hired here, me and Adam talk about this all the time, is to get the cards into the hands of the people who truly want to collect them. That's our goal here.
If guys want this, do they mainly just buy it through your website, or are there resellers as well pushing the product?
Yeah, pretty much all the major e-tailers carry our different product lines as well, right? So any of the .coms you can go on to the breaking platforms as well. There's a variety of breakers as well that do carry our different product lines too. And of course we have our own e-commerce platform and website as well. So I would say that typically wherever somebody typically shops, they probably carry it in some way, shape, or form. And then we're always accessible as well. People can always reach out to us directly, or send us messages on our Insta channels and stuff like that. And we're always there to reply and to help customers any way we can.
All right, so that was our interview. The guys over at Super Break Products, I can't think enough. Adam, Raymond, they were great to come on and give me a few of the details of some of these products. I know it's I'm sure they like it because it talks and promotes their stuff, but I like it because I'm really into these things, and I like to know, like, how legit is this business? Like, is this a fly-by-night type of thing, or is this a more established company? And that is 100% a more established company, especially since I think they originally started back in like 1998 or something. So way, way before the hobby boom. And to know too, like, they've got so many things that they kind of teased me after the recording was over that I can't talk about as of yet, but some really cool products that they're going to be doing with licensing coming up this year, and a couple others at least that they wouldn't even tell me names of. I guess it was that secretive, but they said some of the biggest presences of entertainment, and I don't even want to say if it's like acting or music or anything like that, because I don't know if I can say that either, but it sounds like they've got some really cool stuff coming out. So anyways, that was the show. Thank you guys so much. I feel like I've been a little bit scattered on this episode. I really feel like I need somebody in the audience, and by that I just mean someone in the office with me talking. When Mike and I are doing the Sports Cards Nonsense podcast, it feels like so much more relaxed because I don't have to fill every second of airtime. Like, it honestly feels like I'm talking to you. Like, whoever's listening to this, I feel like I'm talking to you. But then it's like, well, I'm not getting any feedback, so I feel like I have to talk nonstop. And sometimes I feel like I ramble. So I apologize if I do. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the constant feedback. And I will tell you, I've been getting so much support from you guys. Please continue to feel free to tell me that. I mean, I don't know. Like, you don't have to say anything. But when you guys either share the show with others, when you leave reviews, when you just message me and say nice things, it's not like in vain. I really appreciate it, okay? So just know that. All right, that's your show. We'll see you next week. Have a great one.